The missing $840 wasn't our biggest problem. What Daniel hid next was. I'll start with the email. His brother's rent hadn't bounced, which meant he took money from our emergency fund to solve a problem that apparently didn't exist. I didn't ask why he lied. But did I ask, what did your brother actually need $840 for? And that's when I realized Daniel absolutely had no idea.
I expected consequences. No gaming, no personal spending. Maybe she'd take my phone. Instead, Claire pulled out the chair.
Sit down, Daniel. I was calm. That seemed worse. We're going to discuss your alignment and figure out what broke. Because this wasn't really about $840 anymore. Something in the structure we'd built had stopped working. Apparently, somewhere along the way, Daniel had decided the rules no longer applied to him. I was interested in knowing what made him think he could spend it in the first place. Over the next week, I did something I wasn't expecting. I didn't tighten the rules. I loosened them. Sunday planning became shorter. Daniel's Saturday makeup chores disappeared. I stopped reminding Daniel about the hallway phone tray. The emergency account? I froze his access to it. Not forever, and not because I suddenly own our money. So for 30 days, emergency withdrawals required both of us sitting together. No secret transfers, no vague labels, no exceptions because somebody said, "Trust me."
I agreed immediately. Claire looked almost disappointed that I had.
Why was being needed by your brother worth lying to me? Daniel couldn't answer that one either. 3 days later, Daniel snapped over the bathroom. Seriously, a bathroom. I reminded him Saturday morning that he agreed to clean it before we went out.
I know.
That should have ended it. Instead, I heard Daniel say,
You don't have to manage everything I do.
I just stared at him. Daniel, you asked me to. Later that night, I asked Daniel to sit beside me. No planner, no budget, no chore charts. I said something that got his full attention more than any consequence ever could. We can stop. Daniel looked at me with concern. I meant the whole arrangement. I would hand scheduling back, half the bills, the planning and making the decisions, everything. And for about 5 seconds, I could see Daniel imagining having his old freedom back. Then, he remembered what our old freedom actually looked like. Before I took over, Daniel was constantly fixing emergencies. Late payment, empty refrigerator, he ran to the store. Forgotten appointment, he rearranged everything. Daniel confused chaos with being valuable. I just removed the chaos that allowed Daniel to keep playing hero.
At 11:17 that night, my phone rang. My brother. I looked at Claire. She didn't tell me to answer. She didn't have to. I put it on speaker. His first sentence was, Did you tell her? Not hello, not I'm sorry. That.
Silence. Then I hear his brother say, I can't. A few weekends ago, his brother disappearing from dinner, coming back at 3 a.m, swearing he'd only lost $50. Daniel, ask him where he is. Daniel's brother hung up when I asked where he was. I looked directly at him. I handed his phone to him. Call him again. But this time, ask questions before you rescue him. He answered on the 4th call. Daniel asked him to send you the receipt for whatever the $840 paid for.
My brother finally admitted it. The $840 wasn't for rent. He called me because somebody had finally refused to lend him more. He knew exactly which button to push. Be useful. Be the big brother. Fix it. The worst part? It worked.
I wasn't looking at his brother anymore. I was looking at Daniel. Because we still hadn't dealt with what he had done. The next Sunday, 7 o'clock, we sat at the island again. Coffee, planner, budget. The same ritual. Different marriage. I didn't restore the old structure. I rewrote it. I still lead our finances and the household planning because I'm better at it. Daniel still handles his chores, plus a little extra when a correction is needed. But we added something that should have been there from the beginning. If either of us starts feeling controlled, unnecessary, overwhelmed, or resentful, we say it before we break an agreement. Daniel emergency account access came back after 30 days. Daniel's brother didn't get another dollar. And the bathroom? Well, he now cleans it early Saturday morning, without it being reminded. Because he finally understood the difference between having someone lead you and making them carry you.
I didn't need a more obedient husband. I needed one I could trust. Daniel trusted me to lead, and I trusted him to be honest enough to follow my lead. So when he broke our agreement, the $840 hurt. But the money wasn't what concerned me. What concerned me was realizing my husband had made a choice he felt he couldn't bring to me first. That was the crack I needed to fix. Because a wife-led marriage isn't measured by how quickly I can correct him when he fails. That night, Daniel needed the woman he trusted to hold the line.